Hey y'all, I'm back on the Aria Pro, or Aria Pro, I don't know how to pronounce it, but anyway, um, I've got a few things done on this body. I just wanted to kind of show where I'm at on this thing. Obviously, things are a little shinier than they were in the last episode. I went ahead and polished out some of the scratches that were in this area. There was some sticker residue. This area in general looks a little bit strange, and I don't know why. There's definitely a filled dent here, and there's a filled dent down here somewhere. I can't even find it. There it is. But those are filled with super glue, shaved down and smoothed over, and then I polished it, and now it's nice and flat. And you really don't notice it unless you're paying close attention. I'm going to switch to a Floyd here in the bridge, so this will kind of be hidden by some of that. But I did go ahead and polish the whole front. I've not done the back yet. I got some new knobs for the front, so these knobs are black instead of the silver ones that I had. I've got some new black strap buttons for this thing, and I did an upgrade on the nut. I actually switched it over to a Floyd style nut, and I used an old Charvel truss rod cover to fill in instead of the one that was there. This is not quite completely done because I don't have the height set exactly where I want it, but I think it's going to be a nice better upgrade over what was there. I'm hoping that the Floyd covers up this damage. I don't know what I'm going to have to do in terms of like where the Floyd arm sits. I may have to do a little bit of routing here, I'm not sure. But I thought something easy to start with. I've got new strap buttons, and the old strap button holes are pretty damaged and worn out. So I thought I would show the process of doweling and re-drilling the strap button holes. To get started with that process, I have cut a piece of 3/16 dowel rod, and it's about 1 inch long. It's not critical to get this super precise. I just want good bite on the screw, and the screw is not even 1 inch long. So I'm going to enlarge this hole with my 3/16 inch drill bit. Then I'm going to wood glue this thing and dowel it in there and let it dry, and then cut it off flush, and I'll be ready to re-drill my strap button hole. Now, like I said, the depth is not critical. The main thing you want to try to do is drill in less than the length of your dowel rod, so you have a little bit left to cut off. But even if you didn't do that and you ended up hammering this in all the way, not a big deal. So now I've got to glue this piece. So let me get some wood glue and a toothpick and some other things, and we'll get started on that. Okay, so I've got a little wood glue here on a little piece of plastic. I use, like I've shown before, this Titebond. You can use Ultimate, or you can just use regular Titebond. It does not matter. The main thing is I just want to glue this in with wood glue so that the wood gets a good bond. I use a smaller toothpick whenever I'm setting up something like this, a repair like this, and I just go ahead and sort of prime the hole with a little bit of the wood glue. That just makes sure that I'm getting wood glue on all sides of the hole, and then I want to do the same thing with my dowel and just sort of roll that through the wood glue. This wood glue is a little clumpy. I need to probably replace that, but anyway, get it coated on all sides. Alright, and then it's ready for placement, and it won't go in easily, hopefully, if you use the right size drill bit, so you may have to send it home with a hammer. Okay, and that's more or less it. I'll wipe off the excess, and the dowel needs to dry in place for, probably a half an hour or so. So this has been drying about a half an hour. I've just got a razor blade here, and I'm going to cut off the excess, and all you really need to do is score all the way around this thing, and then you can just knock off the excess of the plug with the hammer. So that's the filled job. I will go back and seal the end of that with some super glue. You don't have to do that. You can just drill it and use it as is, but just in the interest of completeness, that's something that I like to do. And here's a little close-up shot of the strap button itself. You can see that after it's been installed, there's no evidence of that repair at all. So the 3/16 dowel rod is small enough to hide under that shoulder that's on that mushroom style strap button. And this strap button is actually a little bit narrower than like a Fender style strap button or some of the other ones. So this is a really good example. And the felt that's on these doesn't really protrude much either. So you can see that type of repair is not going to show at all, and that's going to give you the best the bite for the screw. So all you need to do to install these things is just drill a simple hole and run the screw in, and that's it. The other strap button up on the horn, on the upper horn, is exactly the same way. Alright, well, I keep taking breaks from this guitar, and honestly I can't remember where I left it. I've got this bridge. It fits in the original posts. The posts are like 71 millimeters apart, and I think the stock Floyd Rose posts are 74. So it takes a lot of effort to actually find a bridge that will work between these posts. And most Floyd licensed bridges won't work. This one actually happens to work. It's just a cheapy bridge off of Amazon. In fact, I think it was the cheapest one I could possibly get. Now I've got a set of used strings. I'm going to install those. I've got my Floyd Rose style nut in place. It's not perfectly level to where I want it, but I've got to install strings or I can't tell how much relief or space there is over the first fret from the strings. Then I can't really fine tune where I want the nut. So I've got to install the strings first, and then we can work on I don't know, the action and setting up a neck relief and other things. But on a Floyd, it's got these blocks that are in the saddles, and you have to unscrew these locks so that the block slides back and you can install the string. And I usually install the strings with the fine tuners all the way out, and I'll tune them close and then fine tune them with the knobs here. And the reason I don't want the knobs completely loose is that they sometimes rattle. So you want some tension on the knobs to start with, but you want most of the fine tuning ability to be in the sharp direction or the tightened direction so that you can continue to tighten as the strings stretch. I've got a set of used strings that I'm going to install first because I could go through a couple iterations of lowering the nut and other things, so the used strings will prevent me from ruining a set of new strings. They'll be good enough for what I'm trying to do, and with a Floyd, the strings don't go all the way through the bridge, obviously, so you can get away with using a set of strings that you've used on a Strat or another guitar before, because those will automatically be at least probably an inch and 3/4 deeper than the Floyd needs to be. Alright, well, I got this one installed. I was just checking to see if I could get the bridge action close with the existing studs, and it looks close, but it's all the way at the bottom. I think it's okay though. I'll have to install the other side to be sure. Alright, well, I've got the Floyd in, got the strings all strung, got the lock nut down, the nut lock down, sorry, and the action feels pretty good over the first fret. It's a little higher than 20. It's probably like 22, but with a Floyd nut, it's very hard to get this exactly right. So there is no adjusting the action on the saddles themselves. When you adjust the action, you're just adjusting the posts for the Floyd. So You could, if you really wanted to, shim the saddles themselves, but for the most part the action adjustment is here on these posts. And I've set the action to about I'd say about 60 to 70 thousandths, somewhere in the middle on the low E side, and then about 50 thousandths on the high E side. Everything's good. It's a little bit buzzy. I mean, it's not super buzzy, but just a tad bit on the low E. Every other string is fine. And I did shim the neck a little bit. I just dropped a little metal shim in there just to give me a little bit more height for the Floyd. The Floyd was sitting right on the body, and that's not what I want. I like to shim them up a little bit, especially when there's no body route. There's no route in this area for the Floyd to get a little upward action. So shimming that just a little bit solves that issue. And then I'll just pick up height, and then we'll be done. So the pickup height I set just like I do in my other videos. I use 4/64ths across the board on all these. It's pretty much a humbucker standard, so went ahead and set those. They needed to be brought up quite a bit because like I said, I shimmed the neck, and now the Floyd sits higher off the body. I did adjust intonation. Basically, I think the E string and the D string needed to be moved a little bit farther forward. The E string and I believe the G string needed to be pulled back just a hair. But to do that, you have to detune all the way. If you don't have the proper tool, that is, you have to detune all the way, loosen this screw, and then move the saddle, just kind of guesstimate where it needs to go, and then tighten it back up, tune back up, and otherwise intonation is the same as just about any guitar, you know. That's pretty easy, and other than that, I mean, I tested all the electronics out and they work okay. There is a lot of hum on this guitar for some reason, and I'm positive it's the pickups. I'm done with this thing. I'm going to go ahead and probably list this thing on eBay and move it along, move on to the next project. But anyway, I appreciate you all hanging with me through this thing. This one hasn't been the funnest one for me, but I'm glad to be done with it, and we'll move on to the next one. If you all like my videos, be sure to like or hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.